Alright guys, so if you have seen the title, if you've seen the thumbnail, you already know what this video is about. Let's get started. So there are quite a few of you guys who have came to me and asked me and commented in the videos asking me, which knife do you prefer? Do you prefer the Misen 2.0 or do you prefer the OG Misen? Because there is a video created by another YouTuber that says bring back the OG Misen or the original Misen. And there are some people even came as far as proclaiming that onto my videos, proclaiming that the Misen 2.0 is just garbage. I mean, you are entitled to your opinion. That's absolutely fine. Now, there are also a group of you guys who are just trying to decide which Misen to get. Whether or not you should get the Misen 2.0 or if you should get the OG Misen. Well, I got bad news for you. The OG Misen is completely discontinued, so the only choice you have is the Misen 2.0. Good news is that I actually do prefer the Misen 2.0. Now, that's not saying that the OG Misen isn't good, because if you look at it, the OG Misen is a fantastic knife on its own. It is a Kickstarter success story, and it is one of the OGs of the DTC world, which is the direct-to-consumer cookware world. I mean, it's a fantastic knife, but here is why I like the Misen 2.0 better. Now, in my hand, I have both of the Misen knives. I mean, side by side, it's really, really difficult to tell the differences that they have made. Now, the upgrade, this is the 2.0. The things that they did change for the Misen 2.0 includes a taller blade. Okay, so there's an additional 4 millimeters of blade clearance. They upgraded the steel to AUS 10 steel, and they also moved and upgraded their bolster area. I'll get some closer shots so you guys can see the difference side by side. Okay, so let's go ahead and break each of those points down. Let's start with the additional blade clearance. So there's an additional 4 millimeters of clearance. Now, I personally really like the additional clearance. Why? It's not because I have huge hands. Like, I have very average sized hands. Okay, so I'm not afraid of like banging my knuckles and things like that. It's because of the way I pinch grip the knife. This is the OG Misen I'm grabbing. You see this? A lot of times with my pinch grip, my index finger stays straight like this. So when my finger stays straight like this, the knife is just barely not tall enough for me to clear it. And sometimes when I'm working really fast and I just grab the knife, I touch the edge of the knife, which can be dangerous, but I haven't cut myself yet, so luckily, okay? But whereas with this 2.0, you see when I grab it, I have all the clearance I need, right? That's why I like a taller blade. It's just a personal preference thing. It's because it just fits my pinch grip a little bit more. In addition to all of that, when you have a taller knife, that means you have more material. When you have more material on the knife, that means you have more life to your knife. So when you have more life to the knife, meaning your knife lasts longer than the other one. So I'd say the taller blade is a good thing. Next upgrade for the Misen 2.0 is that they upgraded the steel. The steel went from AUS 8 to AUS 10. I'm not going to dive into a lot of nerdy shit here, but AUS 10 is a better steel. It has higher carbon content, which creates a harder blade. And with the harder blade, it creates a little bit more wear resistant, and that means the edge retention is better on the AUS 10 compared to the AUS 8. Alright, so last but not least, let's talk about the bolster. They changed the bolster. As you guys can see here, this is the OG Misen, this is the Misen 2.0. This is probably a really bad idea to point two knives at myself. But the OG Misen has a little bit of extra material right here in the bolster compared to the Misen 2.0. They pulled the bolster back about 1 centimeter for the Misen 2.0. I actually really like the new bolster compared to the OG bolster, because the OG bolster kind of dug into my hands. Like, the extra material, when I try to pinch grip it and choke up onto the knife, I just, not that I can't get a like super comfortable grip, but it's just not as comfortable for me compared to the Misen 2.0. Like with the Misen 2.0, without that extra material digging into my hands, I can really choke up and pinch grip into the knife. Okay, let's talk about the bring back the original Misen video. Some of you guys have asked me, hey, what's your opinion on that video? Well, I watched the video, and there's several things that I've noted that she said she didn't like about the Misen 2.0, which is the new bolster. She didn't like how sharp the spine was. She thought that the finish was a little bit more rough, and that she was pretty neutral about the additional blade clearance. My opinion on it? Well, we just have different opinions about the knife. I mean, there's no right or wrong when it comes to knives, because it's all personal preference. It's what you like. So it's what she likes. And she likes the original Misen more, which is absolutely fine because it's more comfortable to her. Whereas for me, I like the Misen 2.0 better because it's more comfortable to me. So there's, like I said, there's no right or wrong here. Alright, so let's go ahead and break down each of the points on why she thinks that the Misen 2.0 is not as good as the original Misen. Now, let's go ahead and start with the bolster. As I've talked about before, I really like the Misen 2.0's bolster because it allows me to really choke up on the blade. Whereas she actually prefers the original Misen's bolster. Now, I watched her video several times over, like I kind of repeated it on some spots. And I noticed the reason why she prefers the original Misen one is because her pinch grip is different than mine. I prefer a pinch grip that is more forward towards the blade. So I like to choke up on the knife a little bit more. Whereas for her, her pinch grip is a little bit further back, where she likes to hold the handle a little bit more. So that's why the original Misen is more comfortable in her hands. This also goes back to the point where it's a personal preference thing. So there's no right or wrong here. Because we have differing grips, completely changes our opinion on a knife. The next thing she said, the spine was really, really sharp. And I do have to 100% agree with her. The spine of the Misen 2.0 was very sharp. Not that the original Misen didn't already have a sharp spine, but the Misen 2.0 definitely has a very harsh spine, which was a really easy fix, because if you watch my video on how to turn your Misen into a $200 knife, I actually teach you how to round off the spine and the choil in a very, very basic manner with very basic tools. So if you want to check that out, I will link that video down below and you can check it out. So yes, I do agree with her that the spine of the knife was very sharp straight out of the box. So the next issue that she brought up was how the material, or the Misen 2.0, felt a little bit more rough in her hands. And she was talking about how the material was not as nice. Now this is actually not a material issue that she's experiencing. This is actually just a finishing issue or production issue, because the Oz 10 steel is definitely a better material or better steel compared to the Oz 8. And what I mean by it's a production issue, if you don't know anything about knife making or knife productions in general, is that each of these knives have to go through a finishing process. That means they're polished up to a certain grit of sandpaper. And what she is experiencing is, let's say, the original Misen being polished up to like a 200 grit belt, whereas the Misen 2.0 is polished up to like 120 grit. Like, it's a very, very small difference. It's such a small difference, at least for myself, that when I picked up the knife, I didn't even notice the difference. Like, it didn't feel rough in my hands or cause any kind of discomfort. But that's, of course, different for me compared to her, because she noticed the difference. Whereas I didn't, probably because I work with my hands a lot and I lift weights and things like that, so my hands are fairly rough, and I just didn't even feel the difference. But it is a finishing issue, which is very easy to fix. If it is a problem for you, just go ahead and take some 200 grit sandpaper and just sand that sucker down and sand it smooth, you know. But personally, it doesn't cause me any kind of discomfort, and it's not a big issue for me. Alright guys, so this concludes the video for why I think the Misen 2.0 is a better knife. Now, like I said before, it all boils down to personal preference. A chef knife is such a personal item. It is an extension of your hands. And when it comes to something like that, it is all personal preference, man. Like I said, something as small as holding a chef knife differently from one another completely flips how we view a knife. Like, it's 180 degrees. She didn't like the Misen 2.0, whereas I love the Misen 2.0. Something as small as just a differing pinch grip. Okay? So, what I will recommend to you guys, if you're trying to decide, is Misen does have a money-back guarantee policy where they will send you the knife to try. And if you guys don't like it, you can send it back. No questions asked. So, if you're trying to decide whether or not you want to pull the trigger on the Misen 2.0, just pull the trigger on it, and if you don't like it, you can send it back, right? And don't let me forget. I'm not going to forget this time. What do you guys think of this shirt, man? This shirt is freaking awesome, right? It's Anthony Bourdain. May he rest in peace. I love Anthony Bourdain. This shirt is from truecooks.com. Truecooks.com. I'm not getting paid to say any of this, okay? I bought this shirt with my own money. I just really, really like their company, so I really want to get it out there, because some people ask me, like, where you get your hat or your apron and things like that. So if you like this shirt, it's from truecooks.com. Go check them out. It's a great company. And for this particular shirt in their Anthony Bourdain series, part of the proceed goes towards suicide awareness, and it's for a great cause. So go Go check them out. It's a great company. It's a great cause. And if you guys like this video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It will mean the world to me. Help me support all this madness. And I will see you guys next week. Bye.